My dear students, now we will discuss the application of the HSAB principle. So in the last video, we'll discuss the HSAB principle, and now we will see understand the importance of this principle and why we need to understand this HSAB principle and what is a particular principle. So this particular principle, it is given by the Pearson in 1963, and he gave HSAB principle. So he gave an idea about the hard acids and soft acid, or hard bases and soft bases. Now he told that simply a hard acid will tends to binds with a hard base only. So hard acid always binds with the hard base only. That means hard acid will preferentially will react with only with the hard base. And again, if you take the soft acid, so soft acid tends to binds with the soft base only. That means preferentially soft acid will only binds with the soft base only. So you know that generally an acid react with a base to form salt plus water, general reaction. But you can take the hard acid generally, so it will prefers only with the hard acid only, and soft acid again it reacts with only soft base only. So let us understand here, hard bases are nothing but they are very difficult in polarization. So the polarization is not possible because of the less size in case of the acid and bases. Hence it is a hard acid and hard base. And in case of the soft base, that is easy polarization. The size is very large, and the electron cloud, that is very less nuclear attraction, with very large in size. There is less nuclear attraction, so it can get easily polarization. So so they can easily polarize. Hence we will get the certain character, and we will understand this HSAB principle. So if you get the easy polarization, that means that it is a soft acid or soft base. It even may be cation or anion, whatever may be the softness, it indicates that easy polarization. Oh, see here. So we will understand this HSAB principle with application. So see here, first let us understand actually what is the importance of this HSAB principle, why we need to study this. So let us take one simple example. This is a bauxite ore, which is aluminum ore. You know that ore indicates nothing but we have to extract the certain metals like aluminum. So aluminum actually it is found in the earth crust with a ore which is called the bauxite. The bauxite, it is a ore which is containing Al2O3. From that Al2O3 we will extract the aluminum ore, and you can extract the iron from hematite ore, and we can extract the silver Ag from argentite, and we can extract the mercury from cinnabar. These are the ores. Ore is nothing but like Khanijam, right? So from that we will extract the particular metals like aluminum, iron, chromium, cobalt, whatever may be. See, these are the particular ores. So from that we will extract the metals or non-metals. So see here. So this aluminum is extracted from the bauxite. But see here, naturally from the earth crust, it is found with the oxides like this, aluminum O3. And here it is also with the iron O3 here, Fe2O3, ferric oxide here. So ferric or ferrous, see here, O3 here, O3 means -6 here, this is +6 here. That means the oxidation state of iron, which is +3. That is ferric here. So here the ferric ions, so they are obtained with oxide. And here the aluminum also, it is obtaining with the oxide. But what about the mercury and silver? So they are extracted with sulfur. See here, HgS sulfide, Ag2S sulfide. So see here, you can understand here that why this particular aluminum is obtaining with oxide, and even iron is also extracted with oxygen. But why the mercury and silver, why they are getting with sulfur? So what is the reason? That can be understood with the HSAB principle. So see here, HSAB principle, which is simply indicates that, so what is soft acid, what is hard acid? So he told that Pearson, every hard acid will react with only hard base. So if it is hard acid, then it reacts with hard base. If it is soft acid, it will react with only soft base. So by using this principle, we can understand that this particular bauxite, the aluminum is existing with oxide only, and this mercury is existing with sulfide only. See here, let us understand the aluminum and this oxide and sulfur, mercury, iron and oxide. See here, all these things. So here the metals which are iron, which is Fe plus 3, and here aluminum also, which is in plus 3, FeAl2 plus 3, and here Hg, which is in plus 2, Hg, which is because sulfur, which is S minus 2 sulfide, and Hg plus 2, and here also Ag, which is plus 1. So these are the metals which are obtaining here. Aluminum, which is Al plus 3, and hematite, which is Fe plus 3 ferric ion, and here Hg, which is Hg plus 2, and it is mercuric, and this silver. And see here, let us understand. See here. See this. So this iron and aluminum. So Fe plus 3 and Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3. So they are, you know that the positively charged, they are called acids. Now see here, it is an acid or base. And the remaining, the another thing which is, even there is oxygen also there, O minus 2. So O minus 2 is a base because it is an anion, and the cation, which is Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3, Fe plus 3, Al plus 3, Hg plus 2, Ag plus 1. They are all simply the cation acids. Now see here, you have to understood here that, so Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3 is hard or base. Oxygen is hard or base. So see here, you can easily see here, aluminum plus 3. See here, this is hard acid. So aluminum, which is hard acid, and you can see the base. So actually this is not written here, but even the oxygen, which is hard base, this is a hard base, and this particularly, so this O2 minus 2 is hard base. So this is actually, this is hard base, and you can see sulfur S minus 2. See S minus 2, this is a soft. S minus 2, which is a soft base, and O minus 2, which is a hard base. So first you need to understand these two things. So that is hard base and soft base. So hard base and soft base. Hard base is nothing but O minus 2, and soft base, this is S minus 2. Now let us talk about the acids. So that is a metals like Fe plus 3, Al plus 3, and see here the Fe plus 3, which is present again in hard acids, and even aluminum plus 3, which is present in the hard acids. That means this Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3, they are hard acids. And again this Hg plus 2, and see here Hg plus, even Hg, you see here Hg plus 2 and Ag plus 1. See here Ag plus 1 and Hg plus 2, they are soft acids. That means these two are soft acids. And see here, you can easily understand here that Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3, they are hard acids. So preferentially they can combine only with hard bases, that is O minus 2. So hence that's Fe plus 3 and Al plus 3, they are combining with O minus 2. So you are getting the ore like bauxite and hematite. But in case of the soft acid, that is Hg plus 2 and Ag plus, they are combining with the sulfide because it is a soft base. So that is the case. So listen here once again. See here, once again I'm telling you. So see here. So here, okay. See here, aluminum and this iron. So this oxygen. See here, aluminum is a hard acid, and even this particular iron is a hard acid. So both are hard acids. And this oxygen and this oxygen, it is a hard base, hard base, hard base. Hence they are reacting with each other. But what about this cinnabar, that is Hg, which is a soft acid, even sulfur, which is a soft base, and even you can think this Ag is a soft acid, and this sulfur is also soft base. So that's why they are getting, we are obtaining in the nature, like from the earth crust we can obtain aluminum only with the aluminum oxide. We cannot get with aluminum sulfide like that. So we cannot get like, so here also the iron sulfide. So in the earth crust we will obtain simply the bauxite ore, which consisting of hard acid, hard base. So like aluminum oxide, Al2O3, and you can take Fe2O3, HgS, Ag2S. These are the ores which are found in the earth crust. So what is the reason we are getting the sulfides and oxides? Because of the softness and hardness of their acids and bases. So this is one of the application of the hard acids principle, HSAB principle. Now let us see the second one, that is H2O NH3HF can make strong hydrogen bonding comparing with the other. So now see here one thing, if you take the So see here, you have to understood one thing that, so there is less size. So if it is less size, then definitely it is a difficulty in polarization, because the electron cloud which is very nearer, so the nuclear attraction is very high, so they cannot polarize here. So hence, if it is less size, there is difficulty in polarization. It may be acid or base, that is hard. So there is the difficulty in the polarization, which is called hard. And large if it is large size, then it can be easily polarized, then it is soft here. Now see here, you have to understood that less size. So from top to bottom, like from hydrogen to helium, lithium, like this. So here actually they have missed it is hydrogen, lithium, beryllium. So like this, sorry, hydrogen, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. So these are actually missed, but see here one thing. So from top to bottom here, simply the size which actually increases here, because size here it is increasing mean it is nothing but, so the size increases, there is difficulty in the polarization, sorry, size increases, then easy polarization, they become soft. So see here, then whatever the upper elements, so the boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, here the hydrogen, lithium, beryllium, they are hard, they are hard. But you can take this barium and this, in case of the like this iodine, in case of lower elements, this iodine, and in case of this here barium and this cesium, they are simply, they are very large in size, they are soft. So simply the top, which are upper elements, they are completely very less in size, they are difficult in polarization, they are the hard. So see here, let us understand here. So let us take another example like H2O, NH3, HF. So why they are making the hydrogen bonding? So why they are making hydrogen bonding? Because here this hydrogen and hydrogen. So these three compounds which are having this hydrogen as H plus. This hydrogen, you know that this is a hard acid. Why it is an hard acid? Because the size is very less. And what about this oxygen, that is O minus 2, and nitrogen N minus 3, and the remaining one, this is F minus. So these three. So see here, what are these things? So these three are hard bases or soft bases. Let us see here. So these three are hard bases or soft bases. So see here, hard acid, that is H minus. So see here, H minus, O minus. So here fluorine minus, see here F minus is there, and you can take, that is see here NH3, N minus is also there, and oxygen here also, here oxygen which is not written. The oxygen is hard base, and even nitrogen is hard base, and you can take the another one which is fluorine, F minus. These three are the hard bases, they are the hard bases. So here the hard acid which is H plus, the size is very less. So this is size is very less, and even this oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, they are having also very less in size. So this is hard acid, this is hard acid, and this is hard base. They can easily combine with, so they are having a stable compound by making hydrogen bonding. So but other than this, so you can take the best example like H2S. H2S. See here, what is this? H2S, hydrogen iodide. They do not form that much hydrogen bonding, because, so see here H2. So here H2 is nothing but, so H2S, that means the sulfide. So see here, this is a soft base. So sulfide, this is a soft base. Particularly this sulfide is a soft base. This sulfide which is a soft base. And see here the iodine which is also the soft. See here the iodine which is also the soft base. And this hydrogen which is hard acid, hydrogen which is hard acid. So hard acid, it do not combine with the soft base. So this H2S and HI, they do not form that much stable compound by making the hydrogen bonding. So they do not form hydrogen bonding. So simply the hydrogen bonding, it forms a stable compound. So by forming hydrogen as hard acid, which is binding with the hard base. That is this hydrogen plus, that is proton H plus, which must be binds with O minus 2, N minus 3, and F minus, then only it makes a hydrogen bonding. So because they are both are hard acid and hard base. So see that you have to understood that. So these things you should understand. So this is in case of the hydrogen bond. Let us see the next application. So see here once again. So this hydrogen is hard acid, and this nitrogen, oxygen is also hard base, and here nitrogen is also hard base, and this hydrogen is also hard acid, and this hydrogen which is again hard acid, and the fluorine which is also again hard base. So that's why it is making the strong hydrogen bonding. Now let us see the another one, which is AgI, insoluble in water, but lithium iodide is soluble in water. Why? What is the reason? So AgI iodine. So simply just now only I told you that from top to bottom, from fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So the size increases. So size is very less. That means it is a hard, which is hard. So this is also hard, and this is borderline. This is the borderline here, borderline base here. But here this is a soft, because the size which is very increased here. The iodine which is soft base, that is a soft base. Definitely here iodine is minus here. So if it is minus, then definitely it is a base, and it is a soft base here. Now see here lithium iodide. So here iodine is a soft base. Here also the iodine is soft base. Now this iodine is a soft base, and here also iodine is soft base. Now what is this lithium plus and Ag plus? So let us see those things. So let us see those things. That is AgI and lithium plus. See here, AgI and lithium plus. So see here the AgI and lithium plus. Lithium plus, which is a hard acid. Lithium plus, which is a hard acid. And you can take the Ag plus. This Ag plus, which is a soft acid. So Ag plus is a soft acid, and lithium plus is a hard acid. So you have to understand that this lithium. So lithium, this is hard acid, and you can take the Ag, which is soft acid. So see here Ag, which is a soft acid. Now see here, and the iodine, you can see the iodine. So where is iodine, which is soft base? Again this iodine is a soft base. And see what happens, every hard acid will only binds with the hard base, soft acid will binds with the soft base. Now see here what happens. So here lithium is a hard acid, and this iodine is a soft base. So that is, they do not bind with each other. So AgI, this is a soft acid, and even this iodine is a soft base. So that means see here, so AgI, this is a more stable compound comparing with lithium iodide, because lithium which is a hard acid, and this iodine which is a soft base. So they do not form a stable compound, but they are forming a stable compound. So if it is stable, so that means which is having very less reactivity. But lithium iodide, which is unstable, this lithium iodide which is unstable, so it can be easily react in this, can be easily reacted, it can be easily soluble in the water. But in case of this AgI, they do not insoluble in water, because both are forming a stable compound, because both are soft acid, soft base, soft, the interaction which is soft. So the interaction of hard, soft, that means they are highly stable. If the interactions are hard, soft, hard, then the interaction is very less, they are forming unstable compound. But here the lithium iodide is a hard, soft, so that is unstable, so it can be easily reacted, so that it is soluble in water. So it is one of the another example. So see here, so stability of hydrogen halides, you can take the stability of hydrogen halides. So see here, the hydrogen halides like HF, HCl, HBr, and H iodine. So just now only I told you that hydrogen is hard acid. And what about the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine? So fluorine, which is a hard base, and chlorine, which is a hard base, and bromine, which is actually borderline base, that means in between. The iodine is again the soft base. So from top to bottom here, the size increases. Then the polarization is, it can be easily, you can easily polarize here. Polarization, it can be easily happening here. That means that the softness will increases from top to bottom. The softness will increases from top to bottom, like hydrogen to cesium. Cesium, which is very soft, that which is very, it can easily polarize. Even this iodine also, which is very soft because of the very high size, large size. So that means here hydrogen, which is a hard, this is a hard acid, and this is hard acid, this is hard acid, and this hydrogen is a hard, sorry, this is hard base, and here this hydrogen which is hard acid, and this iodine which is a soft base. So this is unstable. That means the stability of hydrogen halide, this is decreased like this. So this is completely decreased from hydrogen fluoride to hydrogen iodide. So HF is stable because of the hard interaction. This HI, which is unstable because of the hard soft interaction. So this is also one of the application. So let us see this another example. So they are the coordination complexes. Here the cobalt. Here this cobalt, which is combining with a ligand, this particular, see this ligand. This ligand is also called ambidentate ligand. Ambidentate ligand. So what is ambidentate ligand? So actually it is only the similar ligand, this NCS and SCN. But here this ligand is donating with nitrogen atom, but here this ligand is donating with a sulfur atom. So a ligand which donates its lone pair of electron through two different atoms, through different donor atom is called the ambidentate ligand. So this NCS, SCN. So both are actually the similar. Both are actually the similar in their structure. But the difference is that, so here this nitrogen is donating its lone pair of electron. But here in case of this, it is donating with the sulfur. It is donating with the sulfur. So hence this is called the isothiocyanate. Sorry, this is the name itself, which is thiocyanate. Thiocyanate. The ligand name, which is thiocyanate. But here this NCS, which is called isothiocyanate. Isothiocyanate. So here isothiocyanate. Both are actually similar in the structure, but they are donating the lone pairs through two different atoms. So that is called ambidenticity, ambidentate ligand. See here the ambidentate ligand. So here NCS, that is isothiocyanate, is ligand combining with the cobalt, but here this SCN is combining with palladium. But you cannot get the cobalt with SCN. What is the reason? See here the reason is simply that here this is a nitrogen and sulfur. So nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, like this. So sorry, nitrogen. So nitrogen, that means nitrogen, phosphorus, like this. Oxygen, sulfur, like this. Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. But see here, oxygen, sulfur, silurium, tellurium, like this. So here this nitrogen, which is more electronegative, which is very less in size. So see here, once again I'm telling you that this nitrogen and oxygen, they are hard bases. They are hard bases. But in case of this sulfur, which is a soft base, because the size increases. If the size increases, then it can be easily polarized. Then that is a soft base. The sulfur is a soft base. But that means, see here, this nitrogen, whatever this nitrogen. So this particular nitrogen, which is actually, this is hard base, and this here the sulfur, which is soft base. So see here what happens. So here this again, this CO must be hard acid, then only it can get a stable compound. So they are the stable coordination complex. That means the CO must be hard acid, and here the palladium must be soft base, soft acid. Sorry. So it must be soft acid, then only you will get the stable compound. So you know that the NCS, once again I am telling you, NCS, that means N, it is reacting, N is donating its lone pair of electron to this metal. That means N, which is a soft, sorry, N, which is a hard because of the less size. So that is a hard base which must be interact with hard acid, that is cobalt. So here you have to understand that cobalt and palladium. So cobalt here, cobalt. So here the cobalt must be hard. They must be hard acid, and here this palladium must be soft. Then only you will get the stable coordination compound. So see here, we will see those two things. So see here, the cobalt and the palladium. See here the palladium, which is soft acid. The palladium, which is soft acid, and the cobalt. See here the cobalt. The cobalt, which is hard acid. The cobalt, which is hard acid, and the palladium, which is soft acid. So hence generally this cobalt, it react with only hard. That means it will react with only NCS because it is a hard. Because see here the nitrogen, this is a hard base. So you can take this is NH3, this is the nitrogen. Our NH3 compounds are there. See here the nitrogen compounds are there. But here there are the sulfur compound, phosphorus compound. See here There are phosphorus compounds. So this is sulfur, 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 like this. So they are the soft bases here. So palladium is a soft base. So it will combine with a ligand which is a soft base, that is a sulfur. And this is also one of the application you should know here. So once again, I'm telling you, see here. So this CO, it is a CO which is a hard acid, and this NCS which is also hard base. And this palladium is a soft acid, and this SCN which is also soft base because of the sulfur. So hence you will get the stable coordination complexes. You cannot this cobalt, you cannot get the cobalt with thiocyanato. That means you cannot get the cobalt with SCN. You cannot get with the SCN. And even you cannot get the palladium with NCS like this. So this is also one of the application of the HSAB principle. And let us see the another one. And there are many other applications. We will discuss only very little things. So see here, the COF6. COF6 is more stable than COI6. So why? What is the reason? So just now only I told you that CO plus 3, which is a hard CO, that is a hard acid. And the fluorine F minus, this is also hard base. And this iodine, which is actually iodine which is soft base. Because the iodine, the size increases, the softness increases. If the size increases, then the softness increases. That is, you have to understand. So hence the CO which is very hard. So F also which is hard. So hard interaction. So very good, it is more stable. But here this is a hard and iodine is soft. So hard soft interaction, this is unstable. Very simple. And you can take the another one which is Ag plus AgI2, and which is more stable than AgF2. So here also see here which is completely different with this. So Ag, which is actually, this is a soft acid and this is a soft, and this Ag which is a soft acid, and this is a fluorine which is again hard base. So you can check the table also. So this Ag which is a soft acid, and Ag which is a soft acid, but iodine which is a soft base, but fluorine which is a hard base. So soft, the interactions are very good. So they are more stable according to Pearson, and this is more stable than AgF2. And you can see the another one. This is very simple example. So this is also one of the good example. So see here. So here this particular two reactions. So this lithium iodide and cesium fluoride. And what happens these two? Let us see these two cases. So here this lithium iodide, when it is reacting with cesium fluoride, it is a feasible reaction. Feasible is nothing but the reaction is possible or not. The possibility of a reaction, the probability of a reaction, the possibility. That means the reaction will definitely, it will undergo or not. So it will happen or not. So that means simply this lithium iodide, will it reacts with cesium fluoride or not? If it is reacting with cesium fluoride, the lithium chloride, if it is reacting with cesium fluoride, then it can easily form lithium fluoride and cesium iodide. So if it is not happening here, so that means it is not possible, then it is called not feasible reaction. So feasible reaction means definitely it will occur. So but this reaction is not possible here, but it is possible here. Why? What is the reason? So see here this lithium again. So lithium which is very less in size. So once again I'm telling you that less size, easy polarization, that means soft, remember that. If it is very high size, large size, then which is hard, the difficulty in the polarization, that is difficult in polarization, which is hard. So see here, so the lithium which is very less size, sorry, this is actually I have written mistaken, less size which is very hard, this is difficult and this is easy. This is less in size, that means difficult in polarization, and you will get the hard. And if it is high size, if it is very large size, Then an electron cloud which is having very less nuclear attraction, though it is a easy polarization, then it is soft. So if it is the size is very high, then the softness will increases. So iodine, which is a soft here, you know that the size is very large, but the lithium, which is very low size, that means this is a hard acid. And this iodine, which is a soft, hard acid, which is interacting with a soft base. So, and again here, cesium, which is very large size, that is a soft. Cesium, which is very large size, you know that is in the 7th period, last that is. So that means soft. And you can take the fluorine, which is very less, that is the 2nd period. So you know that is very hard. So the interaction, see here, the interaction which are hard soft and soft hard. See here these things. Again, lithium, which is very hard, which is due because of the less size, which is hard. And this fluorine, which is also less, so which is also hard base. So this is hard acid and this is a hard base. And the cesium, which is again, this is a soft acid, and this iodine, which is also soft base. See here the interaction, these are hard interaction, these are soft interaction. But here the hard soft and soft hard. So that means this reaction is a feasible reaction. Definitely it will occur here because the unstable compounds are getting into a stable compound. So definitely this reaction will occur here. So if this is an equilibrium, then the equilibrium, this particularly it will move towards to right side here. Then definitely it must form this particular product. You can take this other 2 compounds and see here the next example, that is HgI2. So once again I'm telling you this iodine, which is a soft, you know that iodine, which is a soft because very large in size. Here also large in size, so that is a soft. And this mercury is also soft, and even this fluorine, which is a hard, you know that the size which is very less, so it is hard. And the beryllium is also very hard, very size is very low, and which is hard interaction and a soft interaction. So what is this thing? So here this Hg again, which is again, this is a soft, and the fluorine, which is hard, and the beryllium, which is again hard, and the iodine, which is soft. So see here what happened. So first actually they are the stable compound because they are hard interaction. So the interaction which is hard, and here also the interaction soft, they are the stable. But now you are getting the soft hard and hard soft. So the interactions are unstable. You are getting unstable compound. So that means this reaction is not possible. So hence it is a not feasible reaction. So this is not feasible reaction. So this is also one of the application. So we can, and that means we can predict the feasibility of a reaction. That means by using this HSAB principle, we can understand many things. So see here, once again I'm telling you. So if you take this particular, if you take the first example, that means here, so we are getting a particular ores. So we are getting a particular aluminum or mercury or iron, sulfur. That means from the earth case we are getting the oxides and sulfur. So why we are getting the extraction of the metals? So the extraction of the metal, the first case, that is extraction of the metals, extraction of the elements like metals or non-metals, extraction of the elements also we are using one of the application. And now we are also using the HSAB principle in hydrogen bonding in the second case. In the second case, we are using the hydrogen bonding. So in the hydrogen bonding also, we are using the HSAB principle. And the third case, we are using this HSAB principle in the solubility case. So we have to explain the solubility even with the HSAB principle. And the fourth case, see here, the stability of halides. Fourth case, that is the stability of halides. And the fifth case, we can explain the stability of even complexes. This is the stability of stability of compounds here. This is the stability of compounds here. Simple compounds like HF, HCl. But these are coordination complexes. And the next case, see here. And here also we are explaining the stability only. So we are explaining the stability only. And here we are explaining the feasibility of a reaction. Which is the last one, which is feasibility of a reaction. So that is a very, very important thing here. So you should understand here that, so see here, you should understand one thing here. So by using this HSAB principle, we can apply this HSAB principle in the extraction of the element, in the hydrogen bonding, even the solubility, stability, and even complexes, and even feasibility of a reaction. So these are the applications of the HSAB principle. So not only this, we can apply this even into the organic chemistry also, because this all whatever I have told just now. So all the examples are comes under the inorganic part. Now we can see also this HSAB principle in the organic part. So I will tell you one best example. That is the last example. That is the 10th application. So from that we will close this HSAB principle. So very simple example. So see here. See here. The best example, that is see here. Whenever, so this is reacting with RMgx, what happens? What happens? And in presence of water. So what happens? Then definitely here R minus and Mgx plus. You know that this is a Grignard reagent, and whenever a Grignard reagent, so it reacts with an alpha beta unsaturated hydrocarbon. So because this is an alpha and this is beta, and there is a double bond, so this is called alpha beta unsaturated hydrocarbon, sorry, unsaturated carbonyl compound. So because it is a ketone, so what happens when you are reacting with this? What happens? So see here, whenever the Grignard reagents are reacting with the carbonyl compounds, so they are reacting with the carbonyl compounds or MgX plus. So what happens? So very simple. This, it will move towards to this, and you will get like this. So what happens? You will get O minus, and here MgX plus, and here there is a plus. This R minus will binds here, so you will get R, and finally on hydrolysis you will get OH, and here R, and you will get the MgXOH. This is a simple reaction with a Grignard reagent, but this is a simple carbonyl compound. But when you take this particular carbonyl compound with a alpha beta unsaturated hydrocarbons, carbonyl compound, let us see that example. So see here. So if I am writing the alpha beta unsaturated hydrocarbons, what happens? So see here, it will undergo, this is a double bond. So see here, what happens? This is a positive charge, and we will get O minus, and this is a positive charge. This is first case. And if you take the second case, O minus, positive charge, if this double bond will move towards to this, you will get like this. Double bond, O minus, and you will get the positive charge. See here the difference between these two things. So in this the first case, so you are getting a partial positive charge and a carbonyl carbon. So this is the case. But here you are getting a positive charge on this beta carbon. So this is alpha and this is beta. So you are getting the positive charge on beta carbon. So see here, when you are reacting with R minus, that is the RMgX, what happens? So in the first case, this R minus will react at this carbonyl carbon. But in case of the second case, it must react with this at this carbon. So now the question is, where it attacks? R minus will combine with which carbon? So R minus will combine with which carbon? So definitely in case of the Grignard reagent, so this R minus will react only with this. So this reaction will not occur here. So with the Grignard reagent, we cannot get this particular product. So we'll get only the first product, this one. But why not the second one? Why not the second one? In case of the second one, we will get also the second one by using the another organometallic reagent like R2CuLi. This is called the Gilman reagent, R2CuLi. So here you are using R minus MgX, but here we are using R2CuLi. There is a difference between these two things. So whenever you are using R2CuLi, you will get this particular product. So you will get the compound R minus will attack at this particular side, and you will get the final product like this. Like this. So O minus, and here you will get R. So you will get the R at this particular carbon. But when you are using this, you will get R only at this particular position. So why? What is the reason here? So why? What is the reason here? So very simple. So you can take the oxygen and the carbon. What is the difference here? So actually, oxygen and the carbon. So see here the difference here. There is a magnesium and a chlorine here. So magnesium and a copper here. What is the difference between those two things? So you know that the oxygen is a very hard base. So you know, everyone know that the oxygen is a hard base because of the sizes which is very less. And see here there is a difference between this is a magnesium, but here the difference which is the copper and lithium. But see here this magnesium will play an important role here because this magnesium will attach at this particular O minus. See here O minus. So why here this oxygen is a hard base and this magnesium, you know that it is a hard acid. So both are hard. Both are hard because the size of the oxygen which is very less and the magnesium is also very less size. So there can be the size which there is difficulty in the polarization. So both are hard acid and hard base. Now let us see the second case. So here there is a carbon and the next one which is a copper. So what is the difference between these two things? So here the copper here. So let us once again write this reaction so you can easily understand these things. Double bond O minus, and here positive charge. Whenever you are using R2CuLi, so what happens? So here this R minus will attach only at this O minus, and you will get R, and here you will get the whatever the copper and lithium. So see here you have to understood that so see here the difference between these two carbons. So difference between these two carbons. So first carbon, so this is the carbonyl carbon and this is the carbon. So now you are getting a beta carbon. So at this beta carbon you are getting the positive charge and R minus will attach it here. Now if you take the second case, that is if you write like this, that is O minus, and here you will get the positive charge, and here also R minus, that is MgX plus O minus, and here you will get the R. So see here the difference between these two things here. Now see here one thing here. Here there is a difference in between this carbon and this carbon. So see here. So here it is attacking at this particular carbon, but here it is attacking at this particular carbon. So this is called the 1,2 addition actually. This is called 1,2 addition and this is 1,4 addition. See here there is a difference between these two things. Here there is a which is R minus is coming and it is linked with a copper. Here also the R minus is coming, but it is linked with a magnesium. See here what is the difference between these two things. So here this beta carbon and this is the carbonyl compound. And this particular carbonyl compound, actually it is a more electronegative, which is a more electronegative. So if it is a more electronegative, what happens? So if it is a more electronegative, that means that, so more electronegative, more electronegative. So that means that this particular nucleus will hold the electrons very tightly. The particular nucleus will hold the electron very tightly, because the electronegativity it increases. That means that there is a capacity to gain the electron will increases. That means the nucleus will hold tightly the electron cloud of them. That means that the polarization is not occurring here. So polarization is not possible. That is difficult in the polarization. That means it will, that means the hardness will increases here. That means this is actually more electronegative comparing with this particular carbon, because it is, this particular carbon is directly linked with the oxygen. So hence this particular carbon, actually this is a, you will get the hardness for this particular carbon, and here also you will get the hardness. Sorry, this you will get the softness actually, because it is, you are getting less electronegativity comparing with this carbonyl carbon. So this is a soft carbon and this is a hard carbon. Hence this here R minus will only binds with the, because this copper is also the soft one. So copper is also the soft one, and this magnesium is a hard. So magnesium is a hard acid. Magnesium is a hard acid because of the less size, and this copper which is a soft acid. Copper which is a soft acid, and here magnesium which is a hard acid. So it will binds only with the hard base. So it will generally it binds with the C minus here, and here also it binds with the beta carbon. So that's why you are getting the two different products. So this is a organic case, but you don't want to write these things in the exams, but simply you have to write only those applications which are very, very important. And these all example, these are very, very important applications. You have to write these 9 applications in the exam. So this is the application of the HSAB principle. So remember, once again, I'm telling you that HSAB principle is nothing but the hard acid will react with only with the hard base, and even soft acid will react with only with the soft base according to Pearson. So that means hard acid will tends to bind with the hard base. Again, soft acid will preferentially bind with the soft base. That is a principle. And in that application, so you have to remember the hard, which are hard acid, which are hard bases. Simply remember only one thing, that is less in size, less in size, less in size. That means if the size is very less and the difficult to polarize, then difficult to polarize, and the hardness will get. So you will get the hard. If the size is very high, if the size is very high, then it is easy polarization. So then it is simply soft polarization, soft acid or soft base. Remember only these things in the HSAB principle. And don't remember the all whatever the hard acid, hard. Simply you have to remember very, very simple examples which are related to the compounds. Like I will tell you the major examples that will always come in the exams, like oxygen. And see here the hydrogen, lithium, hydrogen plus lithium plus sodium plus potassium plus, and these are, so not only these things. So these are the hard. And in case of the non-metals like nitrogen, oxygen, N-3, O-2, fluorine minus, chlorine minus. So these are hard acids, and these are hard bases. Remember these two things. And in case of the soft, that is cesium plus, which is very important thing. And in the halogens, which is iodine minus. So these two are the soft bases. Soft bases, and this is a soft acid, and this is a soft base. These are the S black and P black. And in case of the D black, that is a CO plus 3. CO plus 3, which is a hard acid, and Ag plus is a soft acid, and palladium is also soft. So these are enough. They are the D black part, and also the Hg, mercury is also soft, and these are the soft. So these are the enough to write in the examinations. So in the IIT or whatever maybe the competitive exams also, these particular elements are very, very important. So simply we have to remember the size. So once again I'm saying is size. If it is less in size, if that's less in size, then it is difficult in polarization. Then it is hard. So remember that. If the size increases, then softness increases. Remember this. If the size increases, then softness increases. Hardness will decreases. So if you write the hardness, then the size is inversely relation with the hardness. This is enough. So this is the HSAB principle with the application. So till now this is enough, and thank you.